and welcome to Complex Chemistry. I'm Paige Tucker.
And I'm Jessica Lassiter. And Complex Chemistry focuses on helping others to form healthy relationships through healing.
And today we are in the spirit of love, and our topic is still married in love on purpose. Mm-hmm. And we will feature 3 couples who have been married for 1, 8, and 17 years. And they will talk about their journey as a married couple and what it has been like, and also talk about a challenge that they may have had that they didn't think that they could survive. So it's going to be filled with lots of awesome information.
Laughter. Some good jewels, some good nuggets that they're dropping.
It's encouraging, so encouraging, and perfect for the month of February because it's the month of love.
Right. So we did something a little bit different this time. Paige and I are actually behind the scenes, so you will not see us on the panel this week for this filming. We actually shot it in 3 different sessions where we highlighted the husbands, we highlighted the wives, and then we brought them together to do something together as just couples. So we have great content in store for you. We really hope you enjoy it, and thank you so much for watching us. Make sure you like, comment, and share.
Yes, it's Complex Chemistry.
Oh, Erica. Your Paige's friend.
Oh, Paige's friend, yes.
And I'm LaDonna. Yulis is my husband. And these are my friends. I'm connected.
I'm Marsha.
Hey.
Right.
You know, when I think about like just having these conversations, these aren't things that we typically talk about as women, and we rarely get together as wives and have these intimate conversations about this. And so I think we just kind of go through our marriages very isolated, and even when we try to get together, there's a sense of awkwardness. So we never have a chance to say, okay, this is the question, and go.
Right.
And so I'm so glad we could come and do this.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming here with us.
Yeah, we appreciate it for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely. Because I think a lot of my friends are single. I know me and Paige talk a lot about marriage and all types of stuff, but I don't have any married friends really.
Same.
So it's like, I could go to Paige and ask, and be like, hey girl, child, he getting on my nerves. And she'd be like, well, girl, well,
I can't take it.
don't ask me.
I try to give some advice. Like, I'm not that single friend who be like, girl, leave your husband. I be like, child, ain't nothing out for here. Stay with your husband. It ain't nothing out here.
Make it work.
Yeah.
You better do something.
Then I'd be like, I ain't trying to compete with you either, so stay with your marriage so you
Like,
want
there's
less person
there's too many, y'all too many ladies out here, so
That's true.
it's great to come together with other married women because I'm sure we all have different stories and
It's a journey.
Married women of color.
exactly.
That's
the key.
That's the hard part of getting you in the
is.
room together.
Yes.
That's
There's
the
a lot
hard
of
part.
I'm just gonna go
Caucasian counterparts that are
Yeah.
married or what have you, but having those other people who can connect with you on a cultural level
Mm-hmm.
and also being married.
I think because you're already managing, what is it like as a black woman, and managing issues of power there, and then how do I negotiate and navigate that power structure in my relationship when in my religion and my spirituality there is a hierarchy, and so how do I leverage that and assert and experience power in this relationship, but within order.
Exactly.
So, that's something that wasn't necessarily modeled for me, right? We had some strong black
Women.
Yes.
Which actually rolls us into the first question. How have the relationships you observed as a child influenced you as a partner?
I think we were just talking and sharing just about the strength of black women in our lives, and as a result of watching these strong black women, I realized how to navigate my home and manage my home. And to me, that's so important. It did not prepare me to partner, though. right?
I agree.
And so how do you have strength and manage and do everything that was necessary while still honoring a new structure? And so I think is value in the experience I received watching Black women just do magical things as Black women. I think I learned over the course of my marriage how to watch others, and how to watch God and what He says about the structure of our relationship. And slowly I've grown to a better place and as a better partner.
To piggyback on what LaDonna said is to, I know my mom was a very strong woman. My mom was married most of my life, so I did know the order. My parents were Christians, but my mom was also a mother who had always had a plan A, B, and C. So if my dad didn't do what my mom said, or my mom wanted something right then and there, my dad said, well, let's wait, honey. My mom like, no, I'm going to go do it now. I have my own money, I have my own bank account. My mom always had a secret account. My dad was on them secrets account, but he ain't know about them. So, it's just, and I'm like that too, my husband knows everything about my money, but I always have plan A, B, and C. So, just, having that, it does have like it's good and it's bad in some ways. But seeing that grow up, I tell my husband today, hey, we got to have plan A, B, C, D, because if plan A don't go, we got to have multiple plans. So definitely with the strong women, you have that, and it could be a curse, but it could also be a blessing.
So I'll say, to reiterate what they both said, I too had a strong Black woman from my mom. So it was just like she was the boss. What she said went. And then also, for me, like, I got those practical tools for her about how to be a woman and how to run your household. But too, I kind of took it counterintuitively and said, I don't want to be disrespectful to my husband.
Right.
I don't want to have to be strong all the time, because that just doesn't seem like that feels good. So I made a conscious effort to say, well, I want a man who can also have leadership and pick up those skills, so I don't have to usurp his authority or be his mama or tell him what to do. So that was the thing for me. I was like, I'm not going to tell a man what to do. That's not the type of man I want.
No. And it's disrespectful.
Exactly. I don't want to be disrespectful.
Yeah. It's disrespectful to them. It's disrespectful to us. I mean, to be able to rest in relationship.
And in your femininity.
Yes. And then we're modeling that for our children, right? And so as I think about the things that I want to bring forth from my family, the strength and the order and all of that, I also want to leave a legacy for my children to know what real partnership looks like. And while being strong is a benefit for the entire family system, it's also important to be able to rest. Yes. Right. Yes.
Good.
So, what has your experience been mentally and emotionally on your journey as a wife and or mother?
I would say, as a mother, because I was a mother before I was a wife. So I had my daughter at 16, and my daughter is now about to be 24. So it was having because I had my dad, but my husband is very involved with my daughter. He's very involved with our kids. Period. So, basically I didn't get married until she was 16 years old. So I was a single mom for 16 years. And then now I have this man who's so involved. A lot was basically, having to tell him things that I did with my daughter that I did on my own before, or to get a man input, because she only was able to get my input. My dad was there, but my dad was older, so he didn't, he thought of things different. So basically, you know, being a mom first, and then being a wife, it was different. It was different. I would say, no, not saying that it's wrong, because we know we all do things. Right. We don't follow the order of what they say we should follow. You know, be married first, then have kids. A lot of people have kids first, but it's just basically making sure that when, you know, you've been a single mom for so long, you have to take that step back and say, hey, honey, you go ahead and answer these or handle this, because I can't answer that. I don't know what to do. I don't know how a man's supposed to, you know, treat a girl. I don't know. There's questions that I can't give answers to my daughter because I'm not a man. She needs that male influence to answer. So I would say for me, it's been great on that note.
I think so too. I'm like you in that way. I had my first daughter when I was 17. And I had a village of people who supported me and helped to raise her. And I've always dated, right? But dating and parenting versus being married and parenting, those are two different things, right? Absolutely. And so I'm with you on this, the skill that you learn to have when you are a single mother. You are solely responsible for another human being's life. And so you develop almost like a super strength and super responsibility that you cannot take the risk of not providing. Right. So you learn to think that way. It was a struggle. It was a struggle in the connection of having to go from a single mother to being a parenting couple.
Absolutely.
And what does it look like when we share responsibility? And then navigating my own trust issues because of the harm that had been done to me, about having a man who was not biologically her father in the home and helping to make decisions. And so that was a pull. So navigating trust. And that pushed forward in my marriage, right? So not only trusting my husband as a co-parent, but can I trust you to take care of me? Right? Because that's not been something that's been consistent in my life. Right. And so emotionally, needing to manage the issue of trust is a full-time job, right? And it's taken some time and lots of practice and lots of mistakes and lots of village conversations for me to be able to come to a place where we're good. Yeah. And when I'm not, to be able to reach out to people and say, yeah, I need to talk about this.
So my perspective is a little bit different.
Yeah.
I'm newly married a year. I don't have any kids, but he has children from previous relationships. So I'm coming in as new, and then all of a sudden it's 2 kids. And I'm like, okay, first of all, I'm learning to trust myself and knowing, okay, I'm adequate within myself. I think that's a whole, like, another thing as being a new wife, like, you know, it's not what I do, it's who I am. That's why he chose me. It's based on my character. Like, I don't want to cook, clean. That's not about why he chose me. So me, that's been my emotional journey. Like, he always tells me all the time, I feel like I don't really do anything. He's like, you don't have to do anything. He's like, you are. He's like, if I would have married you based on what you did and you can't do it anymore, he's like, what would be the point? Like, that whole thing. And then learning to trust myself and my judgment just with his kids and different things like that. And I think it's different. It's a new journey for me, because he tells me all the time, he's like, well, I chose you based on your character, so I trust you with my kids. I trust your judgment. I trust your decision making. Right. So you shouldn't feel inadequate about these things. So that's been my journey.
And that's hard. Like, I love how affirming your husband is. And my husband's affirming too. And we still have this thing in the back of our head, right? that's kind of difficult to reconcile. But then I think these conversations lets us know that we're not on our own, and it is perfectly normal to have these thoughts of worthiness and security and surety. But I think as we continue to keep talking about it and being affirmed and affirming our spouses, because I'm certain they have the same insecurities too, we get stronger.
Absolutely.
All right. Describe how your spouse's presence contributes to your union and family. What type of presence does your spouse exude?
So I'll go first. When he's around, I feel secure. Like it's something different. Like he reminds me of my dad in that kind of way. My dad wasn't like the perfect dad. No one is, but it's like I can rest and know he'll take care of it. Like I'm good. Security, provider. I feel at ease when he's around more than when he's not. Like I feel more confident. Not that he gives me confidence, but just secure enough to know he's there, and if anything happens, like he got me. That type of thing. And he's just fun to be around.
Eunice is hilarious. I think he brings joy to our home. I think his personality invites others into our space in places where I would be naturally closed off. That's the presence that he brings. He also has a seriousness about him, that when I push things off or things aren't a big deal, he helps me to think about like not just in the moment, but what are the long-term effects. So if he was not around, I probably would be even more impulsive than I am right now. And that is no good for anybody, right? I think there's value in spontaneity, and I think that's how I help support him. But he helps to confound things into a place where we can enjoy life and within limits. And I love that. So if he were not to be here, we would take much more risk.
Well, Heath is kind of like Ulysses. Ulysses?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Ulysses. He is entertainer.
Yes.
So I'm more of the dry, personality, kind of reserved, not really outgoing. Heath is very outgoing, very. He's the talker. He's gonna talk to everybody. So just having him around kind of brings me out of because I'm one of the ones that'll sit back and kind of like in the shadow. So he kind of brings me out of the being back in, the shadow, or try to push me out, like go talk, go get out there. He also helps me to be secure, because I am a little shy and I'm not as outgoing as some people may think I am. He helps me, say, hey, it's okay, such and such got such and such in common with you. You should go talk to her, or this person has, or you're smart. Why don't you say anything? Because I'm the one that'll know a lot, but I won't say it. I just sit back and be like, I don't know what they're talking about. In my head, I'm saying that, but I won't tell that person I don't know what they're talking about. But so he does help with, bringing that part of me out. And then our home is just, because I'm such a, introvert. My daughter is very, very introvert, and he's so outgoing and spontaneous. So that brings a lot to our family, because our house would probably be very boring, no TV on. But when he comes home, he gonna have the TV on. He gonna have something going. It's gonna be loud. The grandbaby's gonna be loud because he's loud. So he does bring entertainment to our life. So our life would be very dry without him. Very dry.
All right. There has been a lot of conversation around the term submissive. What is your definition of submission, and what does that look like in your marriage?
I don't know who wants to go first.
Submission is mutual. First of all, let me say that.
Yes.
When a lot of people say submission, they automatically look at the woman, but it's the man's job to defer to her, even if it's his decision, quote unquote.
Right.
Like Calvin always defers to me. It's always, well, what do you want? It's never, this is what it's gonna be. It's like, well, what do you think? What do you want? And most times I'm just like, do what you're gonna do. Like, you know, you're gonna make the best decision. So it's always, it's a mutual thing, I'll say. In our home, for the most part, I'm the type of person, like, I don't mind making decisions. I don't mind being that boss. But sometimes I just be like, I don't want to have to think.
Right.
I don't want to think. I think that's the first conversation we had before we got married. I was just like, sometimes I just want to just take a break from thinking and making decisions. And that's the kind of person I want to be with, who can make the decisions too. And he said likewise. He says, as a man, women don't understand. Like, we're always making decisions, and sometimes we just want to be able to trust our partner to be able to have that judgment. So it's a mutual thing for us.
Absolutely, and I can definitely agree with what you're saying. It's a mutual thing, and it's also who, when I look at it, is who can answer it better.
Yes.
Because sometimes, you know, they can't answer some stuff, or they can't make that decision.
Right.
So we have to make that decision. You know, sometimes they need a little help, and vice versa. So a partnership is definitely, when it comes to submission, it shouldn't be just the woman submitting. It should be both. You know, whoever is good at that particular thing. You know. So when I hear submissive, I always, we always hear the woman, but no, it's both. You know, it's a respect thing. You know, you can't submit to him, and then he's out there doing what he's supposed to be doing, or vice versa. You know, so that it's definitely a partnership on that.
I love it. So someone explained, I was in a marriage seminar, and I heard it in this way, and it landed well. It's to voluntarily cooperate with, almost like a military relationship where there's a general. However, most of the people in there have lots of knowledge and skills. However, they have all agreed that this is the person that will be leading, representing, and making decisions. And then when necessary, if the general needs to, he consults with the best person and people at the moment. But even if people were to disagree with the general, at the end of the day, we've all said yes. And so that lands well with me, that it's a voluntary cooperation, and it lets me know that I can offer, right? And it is my responsibility to offer. Much like that. It's my responsibility to come to the table because I'm my spouse's helpmate, right? And partner. And I can also rest in, as I trust God, I can fall in alignment with the partner that I said yes to and chose. And so submission actually gives permission to rest.
How have the relationships you observed as a child influenced you as a partner?
Oh, man, I can jump in. That's fine. I say the first relationship observed as a child is your parents, and with my parents' relationship, that kind of, though I had parents that were together, the home may have not been as structured or as functional as I would like it to be. So as in coming into a marriage, I looked at a lot of that and those negative influences and see how I want to be more positive in my relationship. So a lot of the things I learned, I guess you learn what not to do. You know what I'm saying? These are the things that I want to do, as far as my marriage. So I look at those relationships, and I observed a lot of abusive relationships. So that in turn makes me want to just be more of a caring, loving husband, and more, and I always recognize that communication is always key. So I always make sure that I communicate with my wife and that we have a thorough understanding of things. So just, I observed a lot of dysfunctional relationships. So I focus on making sure that my relationship is functional in turn.
Yeah, I totally agree. My relationship with my parents was solid, but my parents' relationship was not. My father was a good father, but he wasn't a good husband. And abuse was there, drinking, smoking, drugs, stuff like that was there. And seeing that as a child and seeing my mother go through that caused me to get the epiphany that, hey, that's not the man I want to be. I have to break that cycle. So also seeing my siblings from my father, you know, and the things that they dealt with and what they were going through and how they've been, you learn from what you see from them. And I saw their relationships and how their relationships were, and that in turn helped me to evolve to strive to be a better husband, because clearly everything that I saw that was negative was not the way to go. And as much as I loved my mother, I realized that that's not how a man's supposed to treat a queen. So that's why I evolved and became the man that I am, so that I can be the husband that I should be for my queen.
I agree with them, both of the guys, genuinely. However, I didn't have both of my parents in my home, so whereas I didn't have a deadbeat dad, but my parents were never married, so watching their relationship was difficult. I saw all of the difficulty and the reasons why they didn't stay together, and it was hard because I was in between the two of them, having to manage both of their behaviors. They did work really hard not to speak negatively of each other. However, the undertones were always there. So they were not the best model. I had several aunts and uncles that were my models for marriage. And one of my aunts had what my family sarcastically referred to as a storybook marriage, because they were so happy and they were only with each other, and met each other when she was out of high school. When she was in high school, he was coming out of high school. So it just seemed like a fairy tale. And so for me, I saw something not working, and then I saw something working, but I didn't know how. So my expectation as a husband, who I expected to be, was just not who I was as a husband. I wanted to be this guy who I always, in my worship with God and my relationship with God, being so close to him at a young age, thought that, you know, I'm gonna be an amazing husband because I think a woman is a gift from God and she's just gonna be amazing, and just God's gonna just bless me with this amazing person, and it's just gonna be awesome. So I had all these rose-colored glasses on, and I'm looking at my aunt and my uncle marriage, because my uncle is a minister, and my aunt's so heavy in the church, and I'm like, they didn't even go to the same church, but they're like glue, and I'm like, yeah, God gonna give me that. And so I was just ready. I was ready to see that, and it wasn't the reality. The reality was that this dude right here got a lot of work that need to be done, and what you bring to the table is so much different than what you imagine you're bringing, because you end up bringing your baggage. I end up bringing what my parents went through and my fears of not being together or being separated. That I brought that in. I brought the idea that you don't have to be together. That I didn't see that commitment, that you locked in it for life. So then, you know what? There's options to get out. So, and just understanding what God saw has changed me a whole lot in how I view my marriage. And so growing up just was a mixed bag of things that I was just pulling from all these different places, and it was eclectic, but it wasn't necessarily as helpful as I thought it would be. I didn't see marriage done as an example before me, like openly. And that's what I needed. And so I strive for that with my kids right now. I want them to see the problems, but I want them to see the solutions. I want them to see how we got into the solutions. I don't want to be so private that we're not open enough that they can see us be people that are working at this thing, and people that are giving back and forth. So I want a different experience for them. So that has impacted me a lot.
I think both of you guys said it best, to be that change that generation and be that male of the family, whatever, to that lead and change before us. Because even though I had both parents there in the household, my parents are still together to this day. But that wouldn't be the model of marriage that I would have wanted to tell my kids about.
Right.
Yeah. So.
And saying that, you know, this ain't my first rodeo. I tried and tripped and fell and tried and tripped and fell and looking for that Ozzy. Well, y'all probably ain't the generation know about Ozzy and Harriet, but all right, the Hustles. I'll say the Hustles. Okay, yeah. I was looking for my Claire, and I got a Dare, or I'm looking for like the lady might be looking for Heathcliff, and I'm trying to be Heathcliff, but she was Damien, like the seed of Damien. Yeah, it was just like you know, I'm a water sign, she's an earth sign. We made mud. It just didn't work. So it was just one of those situations. But eventually, as I did through my journey, as gotten older, I learned and I evolved, and finally, I got my roots kind of right. Again, I'm not perfect, you know. Mm-hmm. You know, if I'm perfect, then, you know, I'm really God, but I'm not. So clearly that's not going to happen. So I still have some things I'm still learning and trying to evolve and be better. But yes, I think I'm a lot well-grounded than I was in my youth.
What has your experience been mentally and emotionally on your journey as a husband and or father?
That's a fun one. I can start with my journey as a father. I had, my son is 18, so I had him young. And so as a father, that journey has been just mainly growth. So it's been a learning experience. And as a husband, it's the same. So I look at both the mental growth as well as, it's really just a learning experience. It's like progression through grade levels. But you know, first grade is not going to be the same as fifth grade. You're going to be able to learn different things as you progress. Or even as a father, something that I may have learned with my son, now with my daughter, I know, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I can't necessarily get mad at this, or I can't react a certain way because now I learned that lesson. And I learned how to deal with the emotions and deal with this. And the same is in a marriage. In a marriage, like, I consider myself, in my 20s, I had fun. So, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of those lessons from dating and this and that, you know, I can bring that into my marriage and say, okay, it makes me a better listener, a better husband, better father, just being able to take those lessons that I learned previously and bring it into. So as far as mentally, it's a growth. You know, it's all growth. You know, we can't, each day is an opportunity to get better. So I want to say in my marriage and as a father, each day has been an opportunity to get better, because I had my son when I was 16 and his mom was 30. And I was, you know, selling dope out the back door. So, and then fast forward to now, he turned 18 and I'm in a whole complete different position than I was back then. So take all these lessons from life, from relationships, from just people dealing with everything, and then it helps you as a husband, as a father, as an individual, just as a person. You take those lessons and it helps you become better. So that's my mental growth.
I think for me, mentally, growing, I would agree, would be the best term to use. I'm telling you, because this dude, like, he thought some stuff that just was not realistic, and just being from a Baptist background and being churchified, just this idea of what marriage was and not experiencing what it was around me. So I didn't see it in real life. I just saw it from the church color, those church colored glasses. Like, I'm just those church goggles. I saw them and I'm like, that's what it is. That's what it is. And I'm like, I'm not home with those people at night when all of the company is left and they're dealing with the issues that they're dealing with. Like, I didn't get to see that. My mom dealt with her issues on her own. My dad dealt with his issues on his own. They didn't need to ask each other what they were going to do. They rarely even asked each other what they were going to do about me. You know, they told each other what they were going to do about me. Well, I'm doing this for him, or I'm doing this, or we going to put him in this, and I want him to do this, so, you know, or he wants to do this, what you say, you know what I mean? Like, it never was a union. So, me, mentally, I just have grown so much. just having her. Like she's a whole nother person. Like, and she has all these thoughts and these ideas, all this stuff she brings to the table that has just helped me grow. She is, she has given me so much. So I see that mental journey just like, I am so not in the same headspace. Thank you, God.
Yeah.
It's just like I'm just not there anymore, and just learning how to respect and honor that, and know that emotionally it's been a roller coaster. Like, because I'm a very, very emotional person, so I'm a very sensitive. I feel things and I connect with people, so it's just the fact is it's just been a roller coaster because I'm thinking I'm supposed to be here and I'm up here, and I'm thinking I'm supposed to be down here, and I'm in the middle. Like, I had no idea how to deal with how I was feeling as it relates to how she was feeling, and then how do I marry? What are we gonna do about how we both feeling? Like, how are we gonna address it when I'm so where I'm at? I'm where I'm at for real. Like no, man. So and she's there and she's where she is, and it's like, okay, but them don't go together. So what we gonna do? I think for me that the emotional part has just been a roller coaster, and I think that my mental growth, like Calvin said, my mental growth has helped me deal with my emotional changes and dealt with what has happened in the marriage. And so because I'm somebody else now I know how to relate to how I'm feeling. And that the biggest thing that I thought I would never bring to the table as a married man was how people always told me all my life, stop taking it personal because I'm so sensitive. Just stop taking it personally. I didn't think I would have to do that with her. Because I'm like, I'm supposed to take it personally. She my wife, She the only one know me like she know me. You know what I mean? Nobody else knows that me. And then God knows. Quit taking it personally. She's not doing that against you. She's doing that because that's who she is. So she is who she is, and she's doing that, but it's not against you. Remember, she married you. Like she said, I do. She said, I do. She's like, I wanted to be with you, so she knew you were a fool. So, so then, guess what? You gotta give her a chance to kind of like, don't take it personally and step back and be like, so, Lord, why is this happening? And then be able to deal with how, reconcile my own feelings and realize they're mine. I can't project them on nobody. So why am I feeling like I'm feeling? What choices did I make that got me here? And why am I choosing the latter of anger or frustration? Because those are definitely a choice. So why am I choosing that after my initial feeling when it's her? When it's her. So, I mean, because I can only say it's like this. My relationship with my wife, who my wife is to me, is just absolutely amazing because she completes me. Like, she really does. Like, that line from Jerry Maguire, like, I'll use it. I don't have no problem saying he said it first in the movie because it's just true.
Right.
It's just true. She really does. She's the yin to my yang. Like, she really does make me better so that where I'm short, she's longer, and vice versa. So that to me is that's what's helped my emotional roller coaster. It's the yin.
But it's that recognition to recognize that I couldn't do without her.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Just to recognize that she.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thought I could. Not true.
Thought I could. I made it this far, but
right.
Yeah, I totally agree with everything you guys are saying because it's just like I had said before. But when you think about your wife, I look at it like, okay, there's this old saying, a real man, and there's not many out there now, a real man can love a woman the way he knows how, and that's through his upbringing and his experience. In some cases, that woman has to be woman enough to accept the love he gives and mold it so he can love her the way she wants to be loved. Now, that also means that man has to have some dishes. Have them ears open, brother. So you need to hear what she's saying.
So one thing my wife and I did was explore our love languages, and we had like a 100-question questionnaire that we went through, like question by question. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? If you're in this situation, what would you do? If you're in that situation, what would you do?
Right.
And it went through different categories as far as finance, sex, everything, like, and it really made you kind of open and explore those topics that are usually taboo. But we did this prior to marriage. So going into marriage, now that we're here, it's like we have such a stronger bond and understanding. So it's like I'm good with it. So yeah, as far as that, like that's my partner. We're there.
Right. I did that love language thing too. So.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely.
All right. So describe how your spouse's presence contributes to your union and family. What type of presence does your spouse exude?
All right. As far as my spouse's presence in my life, my spouse represents peace. Because from all of, I would say, a lot of things I went through my 20s and everything, and even through different relationships, she just represents that staple of just stability and peace. So even within my family, dealing with certain family members or certain situations, she already knows, you know what I'm saying, what I may have been through. So she knows how to deal with it. She's like, okay, this is how we're going to deal with this. This is how we're going to deal with that. And give you to a story that's even funny. One of my groomsmen for my wedding, like, came at me at the last minute and was like, hey man, I can't pay for my suit. I need to borrow, a couple $100 to pay for the suit. I'm telling my wife, like, oh no, he good, it's all right. I believe he gonna give it back. My wife knows me and know the situation, so it's like, you're not gonna get that money back. She like, just be prepared that you're not gonna get that money back. And I'm telling her like, no, I'm gonna get the money back. You don't know what you're talking about. But it's my family. She's like, you're not gonna get it back. Sure enough, I said, I have not got that money back. Like, I'm like, it's been a minute, right? Yeah, it's been a minute. But I'm just saying, like, she knows, like, just she knows these different things and what to expect and what not to expect. And that's what we kind of built. So she serves as that staple of just that reassurance. And then one fortunate thing about my wife and I is we work together. Okay. So that adds another layer to it. It's not always easy, but
Amen.
you already know. It ain't always the best, but we have that understanding. Like, we leave it there. We come home, and it's funny. Coworkers that see us arguing, thinking something wrong. Like, no, that's just how we might communicate. Like, we fine. We might be mad at each other, whatever. But one thing I love about it, we talk things out. We communicate. Right. So she serves as just my peace of mind, and that's something I've been seeking for a very long time. Like that peace of mind. Like, even we can be pissed mad at each other, and we'll text, you know what, good night, I love you, I'm on the couch, you in the bed, but I'll see you in the morning. Like, that's what it is. Like, we good. Like, we can be mad, but we're not going to want to sleep mad. Yeah, like, I'm still mad at you, but I love you, but damn, I'm happy to sleep mad. Yeah, it ain't over. I'll talk to you tomorrow, but shit.
Right. Yeah. I've had them calls. I'm driving home. And she's, we having a heated discussion, and she's like, talking. I said, okay, I can't talk to you now. We're angry. I'm not going to talk to you in anger. I love you. I will see you when I get home. And I hang up the phone, and I get home. She's calm, I'm calm, and then we talk. And that was one of the things that I like, because with her, she actually is my leverage, because, finances, mainly finances, and that women's intuition is powerful. Oh my gosh. Women got some powerful intuition. They know stuff before you even realize that they know what you're going to think about saying before you say it.
Yeah, it's horrible.
It's like, how did you know that? And you're like, oh, that's dope. Wait. And then, but it makes you love her even more, because you realize when that time comes and it's something you're thinking about doing, which is also another reason why my wife is my rock, my rib, because I go to her and I'll talk to her. I'm like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. I'm thinking about going this route. And she's like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. And at first, for the first little couple of years, I'm like, no, I know what I'm talking about. And I didn't realize that I should have listened. Yeah. And then I messed up, and I realized, how did she know that this was going to happen? Because I'm thinking one way, but after I started listening to her, oh my gosh, man, life change is beautiful. I was like, man, I should have listened to her a long time ago. It's crazy. So yeah, she's like my mental state of peace. She's like my zen. She's like, like you say, the yin to yang. Yeah. She completes me for real, and she's like that. Forget Prudential. Prudential don't have the piece of the rock. I got the piece of the rock.
Right.
So that's what my wife and our marriage means. And it took a while for me to get that because I had a lot of inner pain that I hadn't let go. And I was hurting her, and then I realized how much I was hurting her. It hurt me. And when I realized that, I was like, okay, I need to sit back and think. And I sat back and I thought, I said, okay, I need to fix this. So I went to her and I apologized. I said, babe, for everything, I'm sorry. For everything I've done, I'm sorry. And I'm not going to make those mistakes. And I haven't since. Ever since then, it's been working powerfully.
Now I got a question before we go any further. How many years?
It will be 8 in April 14th.
How many years?
It'll be 18 in August.
November, we just celebrated our first year, so that kind of gives you guys an idea of the conversation, right?
Right.
Yeah, so where we at? So I was curious.
Yeah, when you guys say that, my wife is definitely the balance to me. But when I actually would describe her, what she brings to the marriage is joy. What she brings to my home is just joy. Like my wife is the epitome of letting things go. Yeah. Like I listen, I don't hold grudges, but I get hurt and I can't just wipe it off. Like it is. I'm like so, but her, she's gonna look on the bright side. She's gonna regroup. She's going to say, you know what, I ain't got time for that today. We're gonna do this. And so there could be a frustrating moment, and she's gonna try to bring laughter to the household. She's gonna try to reboot. She doesn't want to be brought down. So because of that, the thing she does in return is try to bring me up. And so she always is looking for a way to flip it around. And I didn't always value that because I thought it was her trying to make light of how I feel or her ignoring my feelings. And that's not what it was. It was the fact that she's saying, refocus, babe. Refocus. And when I started listening to her, like they just said, when I started hearing her and seeing her or how she was coming at me, then I realized that I was holding a lot of baggage that I didn't have to hold because I took myself too seriously. So now it wasn't about me taking everybody else's stuff. It was my own stuff that I'm holding. I'm like, I gotta hold on to this. And so it became much easier to just relate. And I mean, like if she left today, like Jessica was saying, if she left today, joy would be like, I would literally be going to God going, okay, so we gonna have to like figure out something, Lord. Because I need her spirit in this house. Like, I need them to be all right. Because, see, I'm going to get mad when they end up not cleaning up and not doing this stuff. And she's going to be like, you know what? Y'all got 10 minutes to clean up. We finna go to the beach. And, like, everybody clean up. So, like, she'll just flip it. And she'll be like, we going to play songs. I'm like, no, I don't want to listen to those songs. We listening to them. Boom. And then it's like, we all in the car singing. Like, so, I just, like, she just brings it. And she brings it strong. And she's confident about it, and she doesn't accept no for an answer. And so many other times, like, that gets on my nerves, professionally gets on my nerves, financially gets on my nerves, but when it comes to who she is as a person, that is so powerful to me. Her not accepting no for an answer just keeps me remembering why God gave her to me. You know, it keeps me ever refreshed in that so that I can learn how to give up. Like, that's when my marriage became a success, when I gave up.
So let me ask a quick question, because I love that, what you said. Yeah. That made me realize why God gave her to me. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like for real, like as going through learning my stuff, when I finally got the answer to my dumbness, my struggles, or whatever, and finally got to a point in my life, and it felt like, this is why God put her in my life in order for me to go to the next level. Right. You know what I'm saying? So I do believe exactly what you said. Why God put this woman in my life. You know what I'm saying? In order to make me a better man. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So absolutely. That's beautiful, man. That's truly beautiful. And to answer your question, I'm sorry. if she was to leave today, where would I be or what state would I be in? I would be lost.
Yeah, I'm talking about I love you jacket lost. Right.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord,
There has been a lot of conversation around the term submissive. What is your definition of submission, and what does that look like in your marriage?
I know biblically it says the woman should be submissive to the man. But in a marriage, my personal belief is we are submissive to one another. So as far as, I guess, to go deeper into that, as far as being submissive to one another, we're submissive to one another emotions, well-being, character traits, whatever, just to that person in general, to whatever that person needs from you. Whether it might piss you off, it might make you mad, you might be tired, you might be lazy, but you know what, no matter what, I am going to be there for this person and make sure, no matter what, they got a smile on their face. So that's what being submissive means to me as far as within my marriage. Because it been times now we had to just say, like, you know what? The old me might have done put up a fight or said this or said that, but you know what? I'm married now. I'm in this marriage. I'm finna swallow my pride, bite my tongue, and I'm finna do what I need to do in order for my marriage to be a successful marriage.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
you know, so.
I think that's. Go ahead.
All right. Well, you were speaking on a biblical sense.
Yeah.
In the Bible it says, "Husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave his life for her." Okay, to me, submissive does not necessarily mean like, oh, you do as I say. You know, it doesn't mean that. Submissive means, okay, she acknowledges you as the head. She acknowledges you as the husband, but you also acknowledge her as your queen. You know, if I go to her and I tell her there's something I want to do, and, you know, there's things that she knows that I don't, and vice versa, right? So her knowledge is key and important to me, thus the term help me too. So she comes to me and say, babe, don't do that because this, and this. And then I say, okay, you know what? That makes sense, babe. I'm not going to do it. That's the head. I made the decision, but I included her in it. That's the submission part. She's submitting to me by giving me her knowledge. She's submitting to me by acknowledging me. Say, okay, babe, I'm coming to you. I need to know how you feel about this. And I come to her and say, I need to know how you feel about this. It's similar to what you're saying about submitting to each other. Because those things are important. You can't be the head and be a dictator. They don't work together. A dictator will always make mistakes. That's why they get dethroned. So a man who loves, which means you put your wife here. She's way up here. And everything matters to her. And it's got to matter to you. So she's up here and you put her on this pedestal up here and you say, okay, I'm going to do everything I can within the limits of my bounds and beyond to make sure she stays up there. And she knows that's where she belongs. That's what matters. That's what's important. You have to love her besides yourself. And you may feel like you want to do this, but her love and your love for her, because technically they say men don't know how to love, but that's not necessarily true. We have to learn to be better, but we still know how to love. And naturally, women are naturally nurturers and lovers by nature. So it's easy for y'all to, as ladies, to submit because you are naturally loving. And so that's why a woman would be our completion. Our queens would be our completion because she submits to our lead. But in order to lead, we have to include her in everything. Because, like I said, she knows more than we know. In a lot of cases. And that intuition. Powerful.
No, I agree. I agree with the whole idea that it's not the idea of submission. It's not what so many people have taken it as. It's not subjection. It's not a woman that is under your feet and at your service. It's not, coming to America. Whatever you like. This term I've heard is willing cooperation. A response that if I make a move, then you respond to it, and not rebel against it, not fight against it, because you don't know the end. Neither one of us know the end, but we need to be cooperating with each other. So when I look at submission, I don't expect my wife to do what I say. I expect my wife to respect what I say. So that means she might not agree with me. She might not want to go with the flow I'm going with. But before she makes a move to go against what I say, we've already done the toe. We've told the line to get to the point where we come together. I've always known that in the best place to be is together. So everything ought to be about reconciliation. I remember us going through counseling, and that was the one thing that the counselor continued as a theme throughout an entire time that we were going through those sessions. She just kept saying, listen, the whole idea is reconciliation. If there's a conflict, if there's a problem, if there's an understanding, the whole goal is to come back together. The whole goal is to come back together because the strength is together.
Yeah.
The design is for you to be together. The design is not for you to be apart. The design is not for you to make your own decisions. The design is not for you to make your own decisions. The design is for you to be together. So then no matter what drives you apart, your goal ought to be, how am I going to get back with her? How am I going to get to the point where we can make this work? So I think that that for me, submission is just, it's a willing cooperation. It's responding to that person in love and being able to receive from them. As a leader, I just feel like that God designed me for that position and God designed me for that role, but I didn't necessarily know what that responsibility entailed. So I've been designed the right way, but do I know what to do with that power? Do I know what to do with that, with those resources? Do I know how to handle that? But guess what? I have a whole person to help me do that right. Mm-hmm. So even though I'm leading in our relationship with her, she's looking at me going, but babe, what about this? And what about that? Did you think about this? Or let's sit down and talk about this. So it's a constant come alongside, and I feel like that's what submission is. I don't believe it is a lord over, because if you ever try to lord over, then you're trying to be in the wrong position, because we're not God. I am not the Lord. I'm definitely not her Lord. If she don't have a relationship with him, we ain't gonna never work. So she ain't gonna be able to come at me the right way, and I'm not gonna come at her the right way. We both got to be submitted to God in order for there to be any type of submission within the relationship.
I'm Erica.
And I'm Heath.
We've been married for 8 years in April.
I'm LaDonna.
And I'm Euless,
For the butlers.
and we've been married 18 years in August.
I'm Marche.
And I'm Calvin, and we're the Browns, and we have been married a year in November.
All right. So the question right now for today is, have you ever experienced a strain in your marriage where you felt like the two of you might not make it? If so, how was that experience for you, and what helped you heal in order for you to stay?
I'll go first. Yes, we have. I was just talking to them both when we were out here, is that we went to counseling, 2 years ago? And it was a very intense counseling. People feel like, oh, you don't need to go to counseling while you're married, but no, you do. And our counselor had told us that basically it's like getting a booster shot. Every so often you got to get a booster shot. You got to get something to help you keep going. And it really brought light to me, because there's things that he wasn't able to tell me, and there's things that I wasn't able to tell him, or we wasn't listening to each other. So it definitely helped that we decided to do that.
Yeah, definitely not listening to each other was an issue. I stated before, I had to evolve. I had to develop my inner self, and I had a lot of things within me that I thought I got rid of, but I didn't. And that put the strain on our marriage, and I had to apologize to her and then move forward to learn how to love her better. So that was what our strain was.
So yes.
Yeah.
Yes. just strained, but to the point where we separated and even divorced.
8 months.
Yeah. To the point where we just did not think that this could work. And our coming together, our separation was really about not being open and clear with what we needed from each other.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think the hardest part for me, I've said before, I'm very emotional, but I think the problem is it was devastating. Just being with this person that you think is the most perfect person in the world, that they're designed for you and it's not working. Like this person that you feel like is your second half and it's not working. That's devastating because I don't know how to replace her. I don't know how to find another her. I don't know how, but then if I was going to find another her, then is that going to work? Because it's not working. So it was just devastating because how do you then do that? And I think the major issue, the major way we got through it was I look back at the commitment. Truly, it took a lot of soul searching, a lot of praying, a lot of leadership, and a lot of other couples who love us to speak life into us. But just that realization of God put something in me years ago when we first got married that wouldn't let me give up on her. So whether I thought she was right or wrong, he won't let me give up on her. So even when we were separated, even when we went and got divorced, that's why I was only 8 months, because we came back together, because he won't let me, I can't write her off. You know how you have a person in your life or a friend and you be like, okay, you're not a friend, so we gonna sever this relationship and I'll never need to see you again. You know, that I can never do with her.
Yeah.
Even when I thought that's what I wanted, it wasn't possible. So when the Bible says what God has put together, let no man asunder,
Includes
he even
you.
meets us.
Includes you. I'll say this as we move on. There was someone who was married, I think, over 50 years. And one piece of, I don't know, revelation, she said, we are still married because we made the decision to be married. So it didn't mean that we didn't have struggles. It didn't mean that we didn't, have the ultimate offenses to our relationship. We made a decision that this is the person I'm going to do life with. And I think we've made a decision that this is our family and we're going to do life together.
Absolutely. So you want to go first?
Well, it's only been a year and a half. So no, but of course you still have arguments and disagreements where sometimes you feel like that was pretty bad.
Yeah.
And how do you get through even that? It's just like at the end of the day, I think I like what she said. We made a decision to be together. So even if the argument is really bad and you really offended the other person, you take time and you come back and you say, okay, let's just start from here. Like, okay, how did I offend you? How did you offend me? How can we move forward? It's just that simple for us.
I think one of the best things that we instill in our relationship is communication. So from day one, we always practice, let's talk about it. Let's figure out what's going on. Let's come back to the table. Let's see what we can do and what we can do better, or where things went wrong. And it's funny, and just me personally, like an old man sat me down one day, and some of the best advice he ever gave me was telling me that a woman can look up longer than a man can look down. So as a man, we got to say, okay, this is my life partner. This is who I'm going to be with the rest of my life. So it's like, do I really want to, do I really have to be right? You know what I'm saying? At this moment, do I want to look at the bigger picture and say, okay, even if I am, right, the bigger picture, she's right. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that's my motto, is finding a peace, throughout the conversation, throughout whatever we go through, is always being able to find that peace, because like I say, this is my life partner. So like, do we really want to spend time arguing on something new? And at the same time, not just saying that anything that she brings that's important to her is minute, but just saying like, okay, if this is important to you, it's important to me. If it's not important to you, it's not important to me, and vice versa. and taking the time to really, you know, just look at whatever we need to look at. So it's, like I said, we're new, and one things we've been fortunate with, a lot of her mentors are older. And so she's been exposed to a lot of older relationships and know the do's and the don'ts. And same here, like a lot of the men I've been around have been older males that have been in relationships, single or whatever, but being able to take those gems from them and saying, okay, these are the things I want to apply to my marriage. So coming into a new marriage and being fortunate to hear some of the things that you guys have said is ultimately will help our marriage. And so having a partner that's being able to say, okay, these are the things I learned over here. These are what we can bring back. Let's take a moment to take a look at these things and see how we can apply them to our marriage in order for our marriage to be successful. Because either way, we both don't want to be where our parents or our grandparents are at. Right. We are looking to create our own legacy, right. You know what I'm saying, our own way of living, our own traditions, you know, for others to come follow. So I've been blessed to have an incredible wife that I can grow with. So no, we haven't reached that point where I want to just choke her out.
No choking out.
But no, you gotta choke in. You gotta choke in.
Bring it on in. Bring it in.
But no, but I think that's one of my biggest fears is to actually get to that point. And how would we deal with it? And then we talk about it all the time. She's like, well, no, we good. I'm like, no, that's my fear. Right. That to get to that and don't know what to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, I don't want you to get to the day where you don't like me anymore. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's like for real. Like that's my fear, and you know, as a newlywed, like to listen to couples who've been together for 10 years, 18 years, going, you know, down the line, like. I want to get there and say,
I still like you.
I still like you. 20 years later, I still love you.
I think that's my biggest thing. My thing has always been like, I want you to be with me because you want to, not because you feel obligated.
Exactly.
Like, I don't ever want that. I was like, because at that point, you can go on.
Right.
I mean, and I don't say that lightly. It's like, I want to be wanted.
Yes.
Do it because you want something. Don't do it because you feel like you have to.
Right.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
Okay, and what's one piece of advice that you would give to people who are married, people who are thinking about getting married, and singles, people who are divorced, just anyone that is considering getting married or staying married?
Talk it out.
Yeah,
and remember, and definitely remember to love her as you love yourself and beyond. If you know that you don't want to feel this way, or you don't want to be done that way, then don't do it to her.
That part.
That's most important, and you'll never ever go wrong.
Always think the best. Never think the worst. Always think the best, and let the worst be what you deal with.
Yeah. So always stay optimistic and just like one of my big things. Always communicate. Yeah.
And it's okay to ask for. Be respectful, and it's okay to ask for help.
Yes.
You know,
Absolutely.
it's okay if you need to sit down with your pastor or a counselor. It's okay. Everybody need counseling. It's okay to get somebody who does not, that's not going to be biased. And so it's okay to go to counseling, even when you ain't having problems. You sometimes need to go and just have that booster shot, what they say. So it's okay.
And for the brothers, doesn't matter your race, be around like-minded gentlemen. You be around like-minded gentlemen, you'll never go astray.
Absolutely.
Because they'll keep you grounded. Always.
Absolutely.
I was just thinking that don't forget you.
Absolutely.
Don't forget you. As you're preparing for marriage, or if you're in marriage, you don't expect someone to complete your incompleteness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
That's a huge job that only God can do.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're not a whole person, asking somebody to be your happy is unrealistic and unfair.
Right.
So get your happy on, be whole, and then just enjoy each other.
I like that. Get your happy on.
But no, that's the truth. Like before I even embarked on saying that I want to get married, I had to
to basically get me together.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like I really had to figure out like what do I want out of not only out of a relationship but out of life.
Yeah.
Before I say, okay, I'm going to choose a partner to have the same goals as I have. You know what I'm saying? So it's I totally agree with that. Get yourself together.
You got to.
Yeah.
I always knew what I wanted. I just didn't know how to get it.
Yeah.
So you gotta know yourself.
And we are back. So I hope that you guys enjoyed that beautiful segment.
Yes.
I was behind the camera crying. I'm just gonna be honest. As a single person who is still looking for love, it was so encouraging to hear the couples talk about each other, but for me to hear the husbands talk about their wives in the way that they did. They were so open and so honest and very vulnerable,
Genuine.
right?
Yes.
And so I could only hope and pray that I get to marry someone that will speak so highly of me. And so I definitely hope that it encourages everyone out there who's still looking for love, and for those who are married or in relationships. I hope this episode really encourages you to, stay married, stay together, and fight through the challenges, because love is beautiful.
It is. Love is very beautiful. I truly enjoyed this segment. The couples they're beautiful. We've known some of them, for a very long time, some of them a shorter time. But they're beautiful individuals, and their stories are so unique and very different. And it was just an honor to sit and watch them just really pour into the sessions and not hold back and really share things that could be very beneficial to someone else. But I challenge you all, while you're watching this and we're asking the questions, answer them for yourself.
Exactly.
Like, even if you're not married, think about how that would play into your relationship if you were. And if you've already been married and you're divorced, think about maybe how you want to move forward in your relationships, compared to, not in comparison, but in difference and contrast to your previous relationships. And if you're single, same thing. And if you're married, same thing. Answer the questions. Have your spouse answer those questions. Really dive deep into some of the content that they discuss, and kind of challenge yourselves with that, and not just sit back and just watch it, but take advantage of it.
Absolutely.
I mean, these are real people, real relationships, and they're sharing their experiences with you. So we really hope that you get as much of it as you can possibly from it, and you really learn some things about yourself and about others.
And watch it more than once.
Yes.
One thing that we have found is when we sit and watch Complex Chemistry, we always end up having to watch it more than once, because we get into these deep conversations as the topics come up. So we encourage you to do
Watch
that.
it with others.
Yeah, exactly. As you are having gatherings, you're looking for something to do, let's say, hey, let's watch Complex Chemistry.
Yes.
And that's the purpose of the show. The show was created to promote healthy conversations.
Yes.
So when we're just hanging out with our friends, spending time with our family, we want to promote quality conversations, conscious conversations. So don't feel bad if you're talking over us and not paying attention, because we want you to have those honest, deep conversations.
And challenge your normative thinking. Challenge what was taught to you, what you've been conditioned to be, what society says is right and wrong, and what's acceptable. Don't let that be what's acceptable for you. Challenge those normative thoughts and create your own reality. Create your own healthy relationship, what feels good, what is good, and not what you are told it should be good. That's one of the things that we challenge each other. Like, that's something that all of us face in society, is always about what someone else is going to think. Put that to the side. It is your life, it is your relationship, it is your love, and that is the bottom line of everything. It's yours, not mine, not Paige's, not anyone else's. So at the end of the day, it's something that you have to live with, and you need to be able to make the most healthy decision that you can for yourself. But we really appreciate you supporting us. We appreciate you watching and tuning in. As always, we love you. We thank you.
And happy Valentine's Day
Yes,
to
happy Valentine's
everyone.
Day.
regardless if you're married, single, whatever, it's still an awesome day to celebrate love, the love of your friends, the love of your family, and romantic love as well. So continue to follow us. We have so many awesome things happening this year. So Complex Chemistry on all social networks, and stay tuned for some great things.
Yes.
Thank you for tuning in.
Like, comment, subscribe, share, post, retweet, repost, like all of
All
that.
the time.
All right. Thank you.